Greetings, Disney adults, Disney fans of all ages. Welcome. Liberty Square. Few fun facts about Liberty Square in Magic Kingdom at Disney World. First of all, it is the smallest land by area in the Magic Kingdom. I dare say it's probably the smallest land in area in all of Disney World. Second fun fact about Liberty Square, there is only one in the entire world. All other Disney parks, if you go around Disney parks all over the world, you'll find versions of Adventureland, Frontierland, Fantasyland. But only one Liberty Square exists, and that is in the Florida park at the Magic Kingdom. It is also home to my all-time favorite attraction in all of Disney World, and any one of you who knows me, or if you have watched any of these videos, probably knows that I'm talking about the Haunted Mansion, my favorite attraction. And it's located in Liberty Square. So Liberty Square kind of holds a special place in my heart. But here's the question I want to ask. Here's the relevance of the point today, and here's the question that we want to discuss this week, and that is, what would Walt think of Liberty Square? What would Walt think of Liberty Square? Now, I already told you, Liberty Square only exists in the Magic Kingdom at Disney World. But, well, we'll talk a little bit more about that, but before we do that, we, of course, as we always do in my videos, we have to take a trip back in time. So let's take a moment right now. We're going to travel back in time.
Our special guest was the mayor of the first New Orleans, Louisiana, that is.
Host for today's ceremonies and your host every day in Disneyland, Walt Disney. Walt?
Well, this is a big occasion today, the dedication of New Orleans Square. It's been underway for some time. I think a lot of you folks that have been to Disneyland in the last 2 or 3 years have probably noticed this big hole out here that wasn't filled up. Well, we finally got it filled up. And that big hole is now New Orleans Square. It's quite a project. It's the way I've always wanted to see Disneyland built. When you see the buildings, you see all the decor and the details. It's really a joy to see that it's done in the way that we've done New Orleans Square.
When Disneyland opened in 1955, there were 5 themed lands: Main Street USA, Adventureland, Frontierland, Fantasyland, and Tomorrowland. Now, early on, Walt and the Imagineers had ideas to add other lands, or at least other themed areas. One of those areas that Walt came up with was an area called Liberty Street. It was actually in some of the early design plans for Disneyland, sort of a celebration of our nation's history. But it never came to fruition at Disneyland. Now, Disneyland saw a few renovations over the course of the first 10 years of the park's existence, but 1965, thereabout 66, saw the first major addition of a new land. This land was New Orleans Square. The audio that I played for you earlier is very rare audio that came from the dedication of New Orleans Square in July of 1966. A little sad note on this, it was the last public appearance of Walt Disney before his passing in December of that year. Now, New Orleans Square was really not a square, it was more just a series of shops later on, Pirates of the Caribbean was added to the land, and a little later after that, Haunted Mansion was added. Now, when Imagineers began working on the Magic Kingdom in Florida, in Disney World, they wanted to have a land kind of analogous to New Orleans Square. They didn't want to do a New Orleans Square because Imagineers had this thought that East Coast audiences would not really want something like a New Orleans Square. It was that same thinking that had them say at first, we don't want to do a Pirates of the Caribbean ride in the Magic Kingdom. Their thought was, well, East Coast people know about pirates, they know about the Caribbean, they're not going to be interested in a Pirates of the Caribbean ride. Originally, they were going to do sort of a Western cowboy themed attraction, similar to Pirates of the Caribbean. But when East Coast audiences found this out, they were up in arms. They said, we want Pirates of the Caribbean on the East Coast as well. It's our favorite attraction. So Imagineers changed midstream and said, let's give them a Pirates of the Caribbean at Disney World, or at the Magic Kingdom. They wanted something similar to New Orleans Square, but not New Orleans Square. Well, they went back and looked at Walt's original plans and how Walt had said he wanted a Liberty Street. And then they also looked at the fact that the opening of the Magic Kingdom was just a few years before our nation's bicentennial celebration in 1976. And so all of this together, the Imagineers said, how about Liberty Square? A salute to our colonial forefathers, to our nation's founding. And it was a very good idea, to be honest. It was a great idea. And the Imagineers jumped in, and they left no detail out. Liberty Square is one of the, in my opinion, one of the best themed lands in all of Disney World. It's extremely well thought out. For example, the Liberty Tree, kind of in the heart of Liberty Square, is meant to pay homage to early colonial America when many communities had a Liberty Tree that was designated as kind of a meeting place for the community in the middle of town. Disney wanted a Liberty Tree in theirs, and they actually found one on Disney property. It was a 135-year-old oak tree that they found on Disney property. A few miles away, they had to, of course, transplant it and haul it, and it's several tons. It's like 35 tons, I believe, is what they said. So they had to transplant it and move it from where it was into Liberty Square. What a job that would have been. Now, one legend says that Walt Disney himself saw that tree on Disney's property and said that would be perfect for a Liberty-themed experience, and that he himself selected that tree. We don't know if that's true, but it's a neat story nonetheless. Now, hanging from the Liberty Tree in the center of Liberty Square are 13 lanterns, each representing the 13 original colonies. Cool. You start at the Haunted Mansion, and if you walk along the rivers of the America all the way around to Big Thunder Mountain, you will see a progression in architectural styles as you move through. Cool. Another thought or another legend that has persisted about Liberty Square that is kind of on the more disgusting side, I guess you'd say. But in the center of the street, there's sort of two colors of pavement. The more brownish color is said to represent colonial America when people would just throw their waste out into the middle of the street. That's a common story that's shared, but I've also read a lot of information online that says, no, that's an urban legend. That's not true. That's not why that's there. Now, along those same lines, though, in colonial America, no public restrooms. In Liberty Square, no public restrooms, kind of keeping with the theming. Now, that said, if you are in Liberty Square and the call of nature hits you, you could go to Columbia Harbor House, or you could go to Liberty Tree Tavern. Both restaurants have restrooms, but interesting fact, the restrooms are set so far back in the restaurants that they are literally not in Liberty Square. They're literally in Fantasyland or Adventureland. Cool. Liberty Square is home to 4 attractions. Well, originally was home to 4 attractions. The Haunted Mansion, of course, my fave. Woo. The Liberty Square riverboats, or the Rivers of the America riverboats. The Hall of Presidents. I think I'm going to do a video about the Hall of Presidents somewhere down the road, so watch out for that. And then, of course, originally the Mike Fink keelboats were there, but they have since been taken out of the parks. There are 4 places to eat in Liberty Square. I've already mentioned 2 of them. Columbia Harbor House, a wonderful place to go eat. I love it. Liberty Tree Tavern, one of my favorites as well. I love the food. I love the atmosphere there. There's, of course, Sleepy Hollow Refreshments, home of the famous chicken and waffles, or the berry waffles, the dessert waffles, some wonderful stuff. And then finally, there is the Liberty Tree Marketplace, right in the center of Liberty Square, which just kind of serves bottled waters and snack foods if you get hungry. Now, something very cool, I think anyway, about Liberty Square is that if you go around Magic Kingdom, you'll discover Adventureland, Frontierland, Fantasyland, Tomorrowland. All of those lands have undergone major refurbishments since 1971. Even Main Street USA has undergone several huge refurbishments. Liberty Square has not. Liberty Square is pretty much the same now as it was in 1971. Had you visited in 1971 and you visited today, you'd pretty much see a lot of the same thing, which I think is very cool. Now, here's the question. What would Walt think? And I think the answer to that's pretty obvious. I think Walt would have loved Liberty Square. I think he would have thought it was awesome. I think he would have been thrilled at the idea of honoring our nation and honoring the founding of our nation. I think he would have been thrilled with it. I think he would have loved Liberty Square. In fact, I think he would have hung out there a lot. Tell me something. What do you think? Do you like Liberty Square? You love Haunted Mansion? Do you love the Hall of Presidents? I know not everybody likes the Hall of Presidents. They're like it's kind of a slow show. But tell me what you think. Share your thoughts. Give me your opinions. Hey, do me a favor. Like my channel. Subscribe to my channel. Like this video. And please leave me a comment. Give me an idea for a future video. What would Walt think? Have a great day, and I hope to see you at Disney World very soon.